Hello, my name's Aviva, and today I'm going to be giving you book recommendations based off of other books that you might have read. So if you've read one of the books that I'm mentioning in today's video and you really enjoyed it, then you might enjoy the book that I'm matching it up with, and I'll explain to you why. I love making these type of videos. I believe I've made 2 of them in the past. I'll have all of my previous videos that were exactly like this linked in the description below in case you missed it and you wanted to check it out. And don't worry, I don't have any repeats in these videos. I made sure to go back and check just to be sure. I do have some books that I have mentioned in the previous videos, but I do have different matchups for them. So that is all that really matters. So with that said, let's get straight into the recommendations. First up, I have Redeemed by Lauren Asher, which is the 4th book in the Dirty Air companion series. And I'm matching it up with a photo finish by Elsie Silver, which is the 2nd book in the Gold Rush Ranch companion series. And why matching both of these books up are for the male main characters. They're both dealing with the same disability, and I feel like mentally they're in the exact same spot. Like when I was reading these books, I almost felt like they should have both been in a support group together because they would have gotten along perfectly, because they were literally dealing with like the exact same issues because of the disability that they have. And in both of these books, this girl just like comes into their life, and all of a sudden they realize that like if they want to be with this girl, they're going to have to change the things that they've been doing like this whole time. Like they have to make themselves better, they have to get over some of their insecurities and stuff along those lines. And I just thought that the dynamics and the characters in both of these books were extremely similar, even though the books themselves were extremely different. Like this one is a Formula One race car driver, and this one is an ex-military man that is now living on a horse ranch, and it's like very small town vibes. So very different stories, but very similar feelings. So if you liked one, then I really do think you're going to enjoy the other. And then similar to these 2 recommendations, I also wanted to share with you the mixtape by Brittany Cherry that I'm matching up with Wrecked by Lauren Asher. So this is the 3rd book in the Dirty Air companion series, which is another Formula One race car driver situation. And this one is just a standalone romance. So in this book, you're following this guy who was in a band with his twin brother, and they were very famous. And then one day the twin brother dies, and now it's like 6 months later, and this guy is not in a good space mentally. And he is just dealing with the loss of his brother, and also like, how am I going to move on? Because like half of my band is now missing, you know what I mean? So yeah, that is that book. And then in this one, he's not dealing with a loss, but he's dealing with an almost loss. Like his mother is very sick and he's not dealing with it well. So how he is reacting is by partying all the time, taking drugs, and then his company that he works for, the Formula One race car driving thing that he races for, basically hires him a PR manager, and she's basically going to have to take care of him and get him back on track sort of situation. So why I'm matching these 2 books up is because I feel, again, how I felt about the previous books, that the dynamics were very similar. I feel like in both of these books, while there was very much a romance going on, you were more dealing with these characters going through what they were going through and watching them develop in a specific way, like watching them come out of a depression and kind of just come back to life because of these girls that came into their life. So I feel like if you really enjoyed the situation of one of these books, you would really enjoy how the other one ends up playing out, even though they're completely different stories. So that is why I'm matching these 2 up. And I do highly recommend checking up trigger warnings for these 2 books as well as the previous 2 books that I mentioned, because they're all obviously dealing with things like depression, and some of them even have some PTSD, and there's alcoholism in some of the books. Like there's a lot of stuff in both of these books, obviously because of the topics of them. So just look up some trigger warnings before you pick them up. But either way, next up, I wanted to share with you another matchup that I thought was really well on my part. So This Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han, I'm matching up with Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. So this book is very popular again right now because it is it just became a TV adaptation. So I feel like people are reading this for the first time now. And if you're enjoying it, then you might be wanting a very similar book. So that is why I'm matching it up with this one, because both of these books are love triangles that take place in end of high school, beginning of college age, and they also have very similar settings with the beach. Happens to be this one starts off at the beach, and then she's gonna end up having a love triangle between this guy that she meets over the summer, and then one of her brother's best friends. And then in this one, this girl, she goes to a summer house every single summer, and she's gonna end up having a love triangle between the 2 brothers that go to the beach house with her. So similar dynamics in both of these books, and also very similar settings, similar vibes, similar feelings. I really, really do think that if you enjoyed one of these books, you are going to die hard for the other. So check one of them out if you read one and you enjoyed it. So yeah, that's that. And then next up, I also wanted to share with you The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata that I'm matching up with Focus by Carla Sorensen. So this is a slow burn romance, and this is a not slow burn romance because it's super tiny, but it is the first book in the Ward Sisters companion series. So happens to be it is a slow burn romance, but for the size in comparison to this one, it's not as slow burn. But I am matching these two books up because I think that both characters are extremely similar. So in this book, you're following a professional football player who only cares about football. He's literally like celibate because he doesn't care to get distracted by women. All he cares about is playing the game. And then the exact same thing is for this guy. So this guy is Noah, and he is extremely focused on the game. He's been celibate since he was in college because he literally only cares about literally being the best. And this girl that he kind of has a past with is going to come back into his life. They're going to end up working together, and then, they're going to end up, being forced proximity situation. And then they're going to have a slow burn romance. And then this one is more slow burn, but basically this girl was his ex-personal assistant, and he's going to end up chasing after her and being like, could you please give me a marriage of convenience because I want to stay in the country, and you're the only person that I want to do this with. So very different settings for both of these books, but I think that if you enjoyed the main male character for one of these books, then you would very much enjoy the other. So yeah, I'm matching these up, and just take my word for it, I really do think that this is a good match. And then very similarly to these two books, I also wanted to match up Culty by Mariana Zapata with Forbidden by Carla Sorensen. So this is the fourth book in the Ward Sisters companion series. Focused was book one. And in both of these books, you are following this girl who has had a crush on this professional sports player as a child, and she's going to end up having a romance with him as an adult. So in Culty, you're following this soccer player who always looked up to this professional soccer player growing up. The guy is one of the reasons why she became a pro player, and now she is on a professional team, and he's going to be her new coach. And then in this book, you are following this ex-MMA fighter who ends up purchasing a gym that this girl works at. It's like a boxing sort of gym, and she has had a crush on him since she was a kid, and now he is her new boss. So both of these are forbidden romances. Both of these are slow burns in their own way. This is a much tinier book, but it is still a slow burn for what it is, and this one is obviously a slow burn because it's Mariana Zapata, and they're also both age gaps, and they just have similar dynamics, different settings but similar dynamics. They're both sports romances. This one happens to be an age gap, but I think both of them are grumpy sunshines, and I just really do think that if you enjoyed the dynamics of one of these books, you would really enjoy the dynamics of the other one. So yeah, highly recommend checking both of these out. They both got 5 stars from me. And then after that, I have another sports romance combination for you. So The Deal by Elle Kennedy, which is the first book in the Off-Campus companion series, I am matching up with Consider Me by Becca Mack. So these are both hockey romances. This guy is a hockey player in his college, and he's going to obviously end up becoming pro eventually. That's where he's going. And this guy is already a pro hockey player. So they're both I was a player until I met you sort of situations, and they just give off extremely similar vibes. If you liked the Off-Campus series and The Deal specifically, then I really do think that you are going to absolutely love Consider Me. This is a larger book. This is a standalone for now. There is going to be a second book in this companion series, but only this one is out for now. But either way, I just think that this book screamed Off-Campus. So if you're a fan of, this series in general, please check out Consider Me. I really do think you will enjoy it. So yeah, that is that. And then next up, I wanted to share with you The Marriage Effect by Carla Sorensen, which is the third book in the Washington Wolves companion series. And I'm matching it up with The Takeover by T.L. Swan, which is the first book, this is the second book in the Miles High Club companion series. So both of these books are single parent books. And why I'm matching them up is because of the children in these books. One of my favorite things about reading single parent books is for the children. I love seeing the dynamics between the kids and then this new person that's coming into their life. And I happen to think that both of these children were so similar. Like in both of these books, there are multiple kids, and they basically like played so many pranks on the person coming into their life, and they were just like complete menaces. And they really reminded me of each other. Like this one happens to be a marriage of convenience. This guy is a guardian to his like 4 little sisters, and he's going to end up, getting in a marriage of convenience to try and like keep custody of them because his brother's trying to fight him. And then in this book, it's just like, these two people, they meet in like a workplace environment sort of situation, and then eventually they're just going to end up having a romance, and she happens to be a single parent. So very different storylines, but happens to be both of them are like very wealthy, because like this guy is like a very rich billionaire CEO sort of guy, and this guy is a professional football player. So it's got a couple of similar stuff, but really I'm matching these up for the children. So if you're a fan of single parents and you like when the children are like a big part of the story, I recommend checking both of these out. And if you liked one, obviously I highly recommend checking out the other. But anyway, after that, next up, I do have a triple matchup for you. So first I have Voyeur by Fiona Cole, and then I'm matching it up with First Semester by QB Tyler, and then I'm also sneaking in The Secret by Max Monroe. So all of these are teacher-student forbidden relationships of sorts. This girl is working at a sex club that this guy happens to go to, and then obviously she's going to end up being his student in college. So forbidden, age gap, all those sort of stuff, sort of romances. And then very similarly, First Semester is another teacher-student forbidden romance, because these two people, I believe they met on a dating app, and then they're going to end up having like a one-night stand or something, and then they're going to go to class the next day and realize that she is like the student or something like that. So whatever, similar teacher-student forbidden romance sort of situation. And then similarly is The Secret by Max Monroe, which I don't remember if they met on a dating app or maybe they just met in a club, but either way, they had a very unforgettable moment together in a club. I don't know how they got there though, but either way, they had an unforgettable moment, and then they go into school the next day and they realize that he is the professor and she is his new teacher's assistant. So slightly less forbidden than these two, because this is actual teacher student, but I do think that this is an age gap as well. And either way, all around the board, very similar vibes. All 3 of these books are very steamy in their own way. They all have similar settings because it's like that school sneaking around whole situation. So I really do think that if you are a fan of teacher-student forbidden romances, then all 3 of these you should definitely check out. So yeah, that is that. And then next up, I do have another triple matchup for you, and that is Drive Me Wild by Melanie Harlow, which is the first book in the Bellamy Creek companion series. And then I'm kind of matching it up with Crank by Adriana Locke, which is the first book in the Gibson Boys companion series. And then I'm throwing in Juniper Hill by Devaney Perry, which is the second book in the Edens companion series. So all 3 of these books are small town romances, very cute, easy, classic small town romances. And why I'm matching all 3 of them up is because all 3 girls happen to be socialites of sorts that are kind of running away from their family. So in this one, this girl is running away because her parents are about to like lose all of their money. So she wants to like cut herself off from them and like start fresh, like, I don't know, across the country or something. And she ends up getting into an accident, and then the mechanic in the town ends up helping her out. And then extremely similarly, like these 2 books are extremely similar to each other, because in this girl, she is very wealthy as well. She's kind of like a socialite of sorts, and she is going to end up, kind of trying to find herself. She ends up in this small town. She ends up banging this guy's truck with a bat for some reason, and then she's going to end up showing up at his mechanic shop to try and pay him back, and that is how that's going to go. So both of these guys are mechanics, and both of these girls are socialites. So extremely similar situation, small town also. And then I'm throwing this one on because this one is another small town, so similar vibes, but this girl is a single mom, and she is running away from her New York City socialite family, and she's starting over in this fresh new small town. So it doesn't have that mechanic thing, but it does have that small town socialite girl starting new. So all 3 of these very similar. I think that you will enjoy one if you enjoyed the other. And then next up, I have a very similar matchup, which is Mr. Masters by T.L. Swan and then Broken French by Tasha Boyd. So these are both extremely similar books. They are both nanny billionaire romances. In Broken French, you're following this girl who ends up becoming a nanny for this guy who is a billionaire that is taking his daughter on his yacht through the south of France over the summer, and he needs somebody to basically watch his daughter while he's doing business. And then this one is another billionaire guy who is a single dad, and he basically hires this nanny who is like taking a year off from her normal job and like doing a year abroad sort of thing, and she's going to end up becoming, you know, this family's nanny, and then they're going to end up having a very steamy romance. So this one is more of a slower burn, and this one is more of a not slower burn that is much more steamier, but they're both billionaire nanny romances. So if you like that sort of vibe, then, you know, both of these are very similar. So if you've read one, I highly recommend reading the other, because there's even more similarities in these books than what I mentioned, but I just think that if you liked one, you will definitely probably enjoy the other. So yeah, that is that. And then last up, I have another matchup for you that I noticed I have done a matchup for this book in both of my previous videos, and that book is Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. So I realized that I never matched it up with Dear Ava by Isla Madden Mills, and I do think that this is a great matchup for a couple of reasons. So first of all, both of them are new adult, and second of all, both of them are would I say that it's a bully romance? I feel like it is, it's got the similar dynamics, because in this one, you are following these two people who have been pen pals for a very long time. And then once this guy realizes who the girl is, he doesn't like her and he ends up bullying her and not telling her like who he is sort of situation. And then they're obviously going to end up like falling in love and everything like that. You know what I mean? But anyway, in this book, this guy has a crush on this girl, and this girl does not like the guy because he is a football player and she was sexually assaulted by a football player. So she likes to stay away from like everybody in that sort of scene. So they basically like meet in person and they really don't get along, but secretly he is sending her like anonymous letters saying that like, I really want to be your friend. Please give me a shot. I'm not like all the other football players sort of situation. So she doesn't realize who he is, and they're kind of like meeting in person, and it's that whole similar situation. You know what I mean? So either way, there are a lot of similarities in these books. I feel like they just give off similar vibes. Like the sex scenes in these books are very similar feelings. They're both new adult. They both take place in high school. They both have that letter situation thing going on. And I do recommend looking up trigger warnings for this book, because there are like sexual assault stuff and things along those lines in this book. But besides for that, I really do think that both of these books like scream similarity sort of things. So if you enjoyed one, I highly recommend checking out the other. And if you enjoyed this book and you wanted more matches to this one, then make sure to check out my previous videos, because I do have matches for this one in, you know, both of those other videos. So anyway, with that said, that is all of the matches that I have to share with you today. So I hope that you found some good recommendations in this video. I hope that I added in some books that you have already read so that you can take a match from me. I know that not all of these books are extremely popular, but I think that some of them are popular enough. So either way, with that said, leave me a comment down below if you have any other books that you think match well with any of the matches that I made today. Like I'd love to like keep going on here. So, you know, yeah, leave some comments down below if you have anything to share. But either way, give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Also subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And thank you so much for watching my video today. I really do appreciate you taking the time to do that. And with that said, until next time, enjoy reading.